Why is this United States spy ship a tourist attraction in North Korea? The answer is a bizarre tale of capture on the high seas, months of brutal imprisonment for U.S. POWs, and one of the most devastating intelligence losses in U.S. history. January 23rd, 1968. The USS Pueblo, one of the Navy's most sophisticated spy ships, is on her maiden mission, conducting electronic surveillance off the coast of North Korea. But the Pueblo would never get to finish her top-secret voyage. Instead, she would fall under attack by 4 North Korean warships. Ralph McClintock was a communications technician on the Pueblo.
There's fire, smoke everywhere, bullets going, screaming, yelling, orders, everything.
Lieutenant Commander Stephen Harris was the head of the Pueblo's intelligence unit.
We could hear the shells raking the side of the ship and the larger ones coming through and exploding on board.
As the attack continues, 1 sailor is killed. The rest of the crew race to destroy the tons of classified documents and equipment aboard the spy ship. To destroy the code books and maps, they struggle to light fires.
It went on and on. We couldn't see anything. You couldn't breathe. Some of the fires wouldn't even keep going. It just got ridiculous. There was no way to get rid of this stuff. And at the same time, we then heard the fateful words, lay aft to the fantail to assist boarders. And we knew then it was over.
The Pueblo is captured. She is the first U.S. naval vessel taken on the high seas in over 150 years. The North Koreans get a windfall of classified documents and equipment, which they promptly hand over to the Russians. It is one of the greatest intelligence losses of the Cold War, but it pales in comparison to the human suffering that is about to take place. For the North Koreans now hold 82 American sailors hostage.
I just kept thinking, I'm in a dream, I'm in a movie, this can't be real.
The hostages are taken to an army facility in Pyongyang. The North Koreans take these propaganda films to show how well they are treating their prisoners. But the truth is far more terrifying. For the crew of the Pueblo, their captivity is a nightmare of beatings and torture. With no signs of release, the men of the Pueblo must figure out a way to survive. Using the only weapon they have, their wits, they begin a campaign of subtle, covert resistance.
It became a morale booster in what you could get over on the Koreans.
And the guards would try to bark marching commands at us, and we pretended not to understand, would go the wrong way, turn around, knock on doors or things like that, just to totally frustrate these people.
If they would tell you something, if it was to clean a spot in the floor, the guy would look at this officer or the guard who told him to do it, and he might start cleaning a spot on the wall, just to try to play with their minds.
As weeks turn into months, the crew's efforts at trickery get more creative. It is the only way for the men to keep their sanity.
At one time, they wanted us to write letters to influential people back home. So we had people writing to garbage commissioners, people writing to somebody named Garbage follows. Garbage follows. And it just went on. We were taking a risk doing it, but it was a passive resistance that we could do. If we can put something over on them, if we can have some input into our daily life, into what's going on, it was basically, we win.
Captivity has now stretched into 8 long, brutal months. The men of the Pueblo discovered that the North Koreans don't know the meaning behind the American middle finger. They tell them it is a Hawaiian good luck sign and start flashing it in propaganda photos.
It was one way of screwing up their propaganda photos. So that every time they could, people would just start flipping the bird. So it would be in all manners of photos. And it was just another thing that we felt we could get over on the Korean.
December 1968. 10 months into captivity, and the men of the Pueblo are about to pay a price for their defiance. the North Koreans learn the true meaning of the Hawaiian good luck sign, and in retaliation, unleash a period of unprecedented violence that will come to be known as Hell Week. The men are beaten within inches of their lives.
When they found out about the finger, it was the beginning of the last Hell Week, and this was the week when there were no holds barred. So they released every aggression that they had on us, and it was just 24 hours a day of beatings continuously. Guards in the room 24 hours a day, no sleep. They would take a person out, and he might come back 12 hours later, head as big as a basketball. Up to that time, they normally didn't want to work on your head or your face because of swelling, because you might be needed in photographs. Now they didn't worry about it. So guys came in, their eyes were closed. They couldn't see anything.
For the men of the Pueblo, it was their darkest hour. No amount of trickery can protect their sanity from this savage brutality. But suddenly, after a week of hell, the beatings stopped.
All of a sudden the doors opened and they came in. Koreans started coming in with platters with towels, paraffin, hard-boiled eggs, and started caring for us and started trying to get the swelling to go down. They started treating the bruises, cuts that had been inflicted during Hell Week, and it became evident to us immediately something happened.
What had happened was that the United States finally admitted the Pueblo was spying and earned the release of the prisoners.
Which I am going to sign was
on December 23rd, 1968, one by one, the 82 crew members of the USS Pueblo crossed the bridge of no return to freedom. They have been held for 11 months. Almost an entire year of their lives has vanished.
I felt myself walking between two different worlds. I knew that freedom was on the other side, and I was on the way there. But I also was conscious of the society that I was leaving, where everybody was enslaved physically, psychologically, mentally, and spiritually.
As soon as I got across the other side, there was an officer there, and there were a couple of Navy enlisted men standing around there, and there was a little yeoman, and I just grabbed the yeoman, and I just shook him and said, "What happened?" In 1968, what happened? And he was frightened. He was more frightened than I was. He didn't know what to say, and he just said, "There's men on the way to the moon." And I didn't know what to say. I'd never heard anything of this.
The United States has never disclosed the true depth of the intelligence loss from the Pueblo. But experts believe the Soviets gained substantial information on the United States after seizing the ship. Over 3 decades after her capture, the USS Pueblo still sits in North Korea. Visitors to Pyongyang can visit the vessel and even take a tour. Much to her crew's dismay, the North Koreans have turned the ship into a tourist attraction. It is a bizarre reminder of how 82 American sailors used their wits to keep their sanity under brutal conditions.
In North Korea, the crew became a family, and we're a close-knit family. And 30-something years later was just as close as we were in 1968 in the middle of North Korea. And that's going to be the way it is and the way it remains until the last of us passes away.